Hey, welcome back to the JeepSolid garage. As you can see, I've got everything laid out pretty much exactly where I want it for painting. You have to kind of go through and determine the method where you're gonna start, how you're gonna kind of get around every object, especially when you're working in tight quarters like this, where you've got like the hood hanging up, you've got the windshield, all the little trinkets here, doors, just how you're gonna get around everything and not brush up against it, trying to paint the next thing. Today, we're gonna be wiping everything down, gotta get everything super clean. Then we're gonna start taping, masking off everything, getting plastic on parts we don't want paint and primer on. So let's get to it. Now we are gonna be doing a lot of wiping down of surfaces. I'm gonna do an initial wipe down with a little bit of grease and wax remover. This is a off-label use. What I'm doing, I've got a little bucket here with some water in it. I'm gonna add just a little bit of wax and grease remover. And you're supposed to use it at full concentrate, but I'm doing just an initial wipe down to get any major bits of grime off, lint-free rag. And we're gonna start wiping things down and dry it off. And I will end up doing another wipe down with the full concentrate of the wax and grease remover. Like I said, this is just an initial wipe down to get most of the grime off. The object is we just need everything clean, 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 absolutely spotless, no grease, no dirt, nothing on our painting surfaces. Well, the first wipe down is done. It always amazes me how much dirt you get off. This is just the initial wipe down. Look how dirty this water is. And this is after I had previously washed the Jeep before I brought it into the shop. So keep wiping it down until you don't get dirty water like that. You need it to be clean. Did I already say that? Yeah, clean. I went ahead and wiped everything down one more time, and the next batch of water came out much, much clearer. So there's two good initial wipe downs. We're gonna plastic wrap everything and just have it all divided off how we want to paint it. Then I'll give it another wipe down with full concentrate of that grease and wax remover. Now with wrapping your vehicle, you can't use just any plastic wrap or newspaper. It's just not a good idea, because what'll happen is you put your first coat on, it'll dry on whatever material you're using. And if it's not designed to hold that paint, it'll start flaking off and you get little bits of flakes of paint falling off down into your fresh paint, which you do not want. So you do have to buy some good automotive wrap. So we'll get everything covered up here. Now I'm just gonna start on this edge here, and I'm gonna do the, what's it called, back masking, where I'm gonna mask the inside here. So the sticky is facing out towards me. I'm gonna bring the plastic down to that edge. And I'm just gonna go around and keep masking everything off, wrapping it real tight. You don't want a lot of loose, flappy plastic, because as you're spraying, it creates wind and you don't want things flapping in the wind while you're spraying. So I'm just gonna mask off and cut. I'll show you guys the finished product. All right, we got everything taped off. I'm real happy with how it looks. Taping takes quite a while. It took me a whole day to tape everything off and just kind of get everything situated exactly how I wanted it. I still have a couple things to move out of the way, like the tripod there, but I have the doors set out nicely so I can get all the way around them, get them painted. The windshield's taped off, all the little trinkets I've been calling them, those all laid out so I can get all the edges that I need to get just fine. Got the hood hung up, not too high, so I can get the top part of it. And then the body of the Jeep, it's all taped up real good. And the reason the taping takes a while is because you're just getting all those edges exactly how you want them, you know, where you want paint and primer and where you don't. Everything is taped off. Guess what time it is? It's time to wipe everything down again with a degreaser, wax remover again, wipe down all the surfaces, clean, clean, clean. One thing I wanted to mention on laying stuff out is, honestly, as I'm laying it out, I'm pretending I'm painting. So I actually pretend I have a paint gun in my hand and I go along and like, okay, I can get that surface good. Then I probably need to start back here. So I'll start back here, get that, get these edges, and get that edge along there. Then I can go across the whole surface here. And I'm literally like waving my arm, like thinking of how I'm gonna paint this. The top edge up here, I wanna hit that first, and then maybe that edge there, this edge here, under there, along the inside there. I really kind of map it out before you start painting, because once you start, then you're committed. So I really like to have an idea of the plan, the pattern I'm gonna go with. Helps me out a lot. Now, because I'm using that wax and grease remover at full concentrate, there's warnings on it. You gotta wear eye protection, protect your lungs, wear gloves. You don't wanna give yourself lung issues in the future. Wear your protective gear. Okay, now that we've got everything wiped down really well, all of the areas that I sanded through to bare metal, I'm gonna hit with a little bit of self-etching primer, just a couple real light coats of this. That'll just provide a good base for us to start putting our build coats of primer on. All right, that wasn't so bad. Got all those areas where we burned through when we were sanding to bare metal, hit them with a little bit of that self-etching primer. On the other side over here, this fender, I think this fender was originally red, so I coated most of that fender with it just to help blend our colors together nicely. This self-etching primer needs to dry completely before we put our high build primer on, so I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and my next video I should be pulling out my paint gun, firing up the air compressor, and putting our high build primer on, a couple good coats of that. That'll be an exciting video. Check out my next video right up here, and have a good day. Turned out pretty good.